a crazy week. And like I just been trying to like it ain't been super crazy, but it's like I'm getting to the point where I'm catching flow. Kind of financially, physically, and just kind of getting in that rhythm of like, okay, I understand what I need to do and accomplish every day. So it streamlines things, but I kind of get angsty, you know what I'm saying? Because like success is like it leaves clues, and you're like, man, is this what right feels like? But I'm always used to like that motivational, I gotta get this done anxiety. So when you start planning out your week effectively, it kind of throws things off a bit. And so it can, it just feel just a little bit uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, man, things have been good. You said, is it Zora's birthday this week?
Today.
It's today. Oh, happy birthday, Zora. Man, I'm like, bro, well, thanks for coming on the podcast, though.
Yeah.
Because I was definitely like, oh, okay. So we good on that front. Happy birthday, Zora, Miss Hudson. It feels wonderful to say that, man. Y'all just living y'all best life, man. I'm loving it. As far as today, bro, we're gonna get into this conversation about finance gurus. And a lot of times it just things get very, very complicated because you have people that are telling people how to get to the bag, how to make money, and how to do all the things. And it's like, yo, what does that mean? Right? What is, they talk about LLCs, they talk about, crypto, they talk about flipping a house, right? But there are a bunch of different things that come along with that. Shout out to Zora. We appreciate you. And it's one of those things where we kind of want to get into that. So we're gonna share this little video clip. We actually got a couple video clips. Hey, salute, man. Shout out to 𝗬𝗍𝗋𝗍 Media, man.
Wally.
Hey, he got 𝗬𝗍𝗋𝗍 Media. Go follow my boy on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Check out the family. But we're gonna show this video clip real quick. Where is it at? Here we go. Take us out the equation a little bit.
Yep, that looked good right there.
All right.
Yeah, bro. And it went on like that until the SEC said, no. You.
New this morning, an alleged $114 million fraud scheme involving self-proclaimed stock market influencers. The SEC and DOJ are charging 8 social media influencers in the so-called pump and dump plan.
Prosecutors have a secretly recorded voice chat where the influencers even brag about the alleged scheme, saying, quote, "We're robbing idiots of their money."
Oh my God. These mouth-breathing morons snitched on themselves. Oh, no, bro. Now,
well, the hardest part about this situation is the fact that they gloat about it, and they'll be on Facebook. So I've seen a lot of scams. So what they'll do is they will take a voluptuous model, and then they'll post that as their Facebook story or their Instagram story, and then they'll use that to bring people in. And so it becomes one of those situations where they're trying to lure these people in, but like there is no substance behind it, right? And it ends up ruining people's finances, and then they get finessed over Snapchat and you know what I'm saying, and Cash App, and then Facebook money, right? They're like, okay, send me this money so I can get this. It even goes as far as people asking for your social security card because you want some money, right? Everybody wants that money fast. They want to get rich quick, hit the lotto, all those things. But that becomes a very dangerous game if you're not intentional about it. And so when it comes down to being intentional, there's another clip that I wanted to show from Cameron Edwards on Instagram here real quick. I'll pull this up. He does a lot of different just reenactments of certain social situations and things of that nature. I think it's pretty dope. Where's it at? Here it is. Cool. All right. This is kind of the language that when you get to seeing the finance bros that they kind of bring up.
F those taxes, bro. I'm so big on multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
You should drop a course, bro. I actually might get a tattoo that says buy low, sell high.
Yeah, you're a legend, bro.
Thinking about establishing an LLC.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, man. Yeah, F those taxes, bro.
You know, I'm so big on multiple streams of income.
Yeah, absolutely. You should drop a course, bro.
You know, I actually might get a tattoo that says buy low, sell high.
Yeah, you're a legend, bro.
Thinking about establishing an LLC.
And so, you know, those are some things that, you know, when you get in a lot of circles, and I found this while I was deployed a lot, people would pontificate about, you know, the money that they were making and how they were investing in this and that. But one of the biggest problems is they were scattered around. They weren't really making the money that they said they were after further research, because there were certain conversations that they were offended by. Just, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was like, you know, they were talking about this property. Yeah, you should own a property. You should do this. But then I found that certain people trending, they were having conversations like that, but they tell people about that different things. They'd be like, oh, well, you should take this job and that job. And so there was a trend of instability that was happening throughout that I'm like, okay, I don't really know if I can necessarily trust these people, right? I don't necessarily know that this is somebody that I would trust to take financial advice from, right? And a lot of times we have to look at the source and say, hey, this doesn't seem like a valid source, or this seems like a valid source for information. So I'm gonna potentially listen to this person, right? And those are some of the things that, you know, I've kind of witnessed and noticed. As far as, you know, financial bros and things like that, what are some of the trends that you've seen?
So I'm trying to go back a couple years when I first noticed it. Let's see. The very first time I think I noticed somebody trying to get me for my money, I say when I created an email address and they were like, you won $1 million. You know, I think that's where it all started. And then I thought, well, you know, you get an email from some African guy from, you know, King, talking about if you let me send you some money or whatever, you can keep a piece, right? And then they got a little bit more technical when we got to college, all right? Because then we started learning about the multi-level marketing and stuff like that. And that's when people started saying, yo, if you join, you know, us, you'll be able to travel, or if you join us, you know, we'll teach you how to do trading with I forgot the name of it. All the different coins and all this other stuff. It was always something, you know. And during my grandma's time, it was Mary Kate and Ashley.
Yeah,
but it's always a different tool. But at the end of the day, I feel like everybody's just trying to get a bag, right? But they trying to do it in a way that they get it from you, and they might come off as if they have your best interest in heart, but they really don't. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of advertisements on YouTube channels. You know, they'll be like, oh, you know, if you want to get $10,000 a day, then you should sign up for my course. Or you know, it's always like some crazy number or some crazy percent. And I can't believe that people actually fall for this stuff. And it's kind of hard to find out like who the real people is that can teach you how to get to the bag.
Yeah, because they're playing into the human psyche. Because the human psyche, the human brain was basically wired to be lazy, right? And so a lot of things we see other people get things. So it's like, okay, that's attainable, right? And so a lot of people are putting on a different type of facade, and us thinking that's attainable, we think it's going to be quick because a lot of people, other people are saying they got it quick. And a lot of times people don't realize that the quicker you get it, the quicker you lose it. And that creates an issue for you down the road because you're not on the up and up. And so that leads to, you know, talking about what are finance bros. And so when I'm looking at the finance bro category, I'm looking at it from three lenses. I mean, there are more that we could address, but, you know, for sake of time, so what I was saying is you got Mr. LLC, right? You know what I'm saying? You got Crypto Man and you got Flip This House Dude. And so the first one we're going to talk about is Mr. LLC. And so when you're talking about Mr. LLC is the guy, you know, this finance bro, he believes that forming an LLC is a solution to every business problem and every personal life problem as well. But the problem is there's a lack of explanation of the complexity and the risk involved in having LLC. First of all, you got to have a business. And so one thing that I recently did, because people were talking about the PPP loans, if you actually look it up, you can actually look up the PPP loans online. And there are a lot of people that I know don't own any type of business. They put one member LLC and they was getting like 10 grand plus for LLC that they didn't even have. It's not even a business, right? a lot of high level corporate executives had gotten, in trouble for fraud, for PPP loan fraud. And a lot of other people, they're going to start disappearing and popping up missing. Like, hey, where Ray Ray went for, 10 plus years? Oh, he was in prison. Where did Sarah go? Right? Because there was no discrimination between, genders there. You know what I'm saying? Hey, any type of gender or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you decide that you are, you can be arrested for fraud as well. And that's what we were finding. And I looked at that list and it was quite a few people from my hometown. I'm like, bro, I ain't never had an LLC. Sis ain't never had an LLC. And I hope and I pray that they actually do. Maybe I'm misinformed, right? But as much as they be on social media and doing all they, chopping it up, and they ain't never posted about their business, I'm like, I don't really know, right? So those are some things that make it pretty questionable. And when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, there's a lot of risk. We talk about the risk and complexity. Here we like to break things down. And so some of the risks that people run into and they don't think about is compliance and record keeping, right? Compliance and record keeping is one of those things where you have taxes, you have yearly fees. If you're not making a profit, right, it makes it harder to get loans from institutions, right? And a lot of businesses, when they first start out, they're not making any type of profit. People don't realize a lot of people, they want to be, Sarah who cooks, right? I'm like, yeah, you have decent food, but do you know the business aspect of the organization? Yeah, you got a little bit of money and you think it's I'm gonna start selling plates out the crib. Cool, I get it. Dope, do your thing. But are you thinking about health inspections? You know what I'm saying? Are you thinking about, what happens if, something goes out in your house? Do you have a separate place to cook the meals and prepare the meals? And then at the same time, do you have the right insurance for those things to work out? Another thing is personal liability that goes in that. Separation of finances, right? Because you need personal credit in order to get business credit, right? Because if you don't have a business set up, they're relying on your ability to pay on your own personal to forecast what you're going to do with their business money in the future. Sure, you can get investors, but investors are not easy to get. Usually they come from higher level circles, and you got to ask yourself, are you attached to those circles? And then thirdly, when it comes to the LLC position, management and decision making, conflict. So Joe Budden recently, within the last few years, he had this issue. He had a podcast with some friends, and they wanted a certain deal with a certain brand or whatnot, and they wanted to take the money. And I think they went behind his back to try to make the deal. And guess what happened? Joe Budden cut them off. And they were really upset about that. But if his name is on the LLC and he's running that organization, that podcast, which was popping, right? The Joe Budden podcast, it was popping. And it's one of those things where you own it, you have the rights to make the decisions. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't have, and I don't know what his leadership background is, but you have to be able to make hard decisions as a leader too. You have to fire people. Like I've been in, I've been in the restaurant industry where I had to let people go. And that's not a hard thing. That's not an easy thing to do. That's a really hard thing to do. When it comes to Mr. LLC guy, what's your spin on it? What's your thought?
Man, you hit a lot. I want to just say you hit a lot of good points, Tommy. Like you hit a lot of good points. So I'm trying to see where I can fit in right now. I'm thinking about a conversation I had this morning, where my assistant principal was telling me how she wanted to create an LLC, and work on her business line of credit, and the people that I normally hear about talking about LLCs, they don't really get into the details. I can definitely notice they don't get into the details. They might say something about, being able to save money on taxes, but how? You can tell us some stuff right now. What's some ways that I can save on my taxes? Or like you said earlier, like keeping up with the income and expenses, right? Did you hire a tax guy to do this, or are you doing all of this on your own? Do you have a business bank account, or are you doing all of this from your personal bank account? Yeah, it's so many ways that you can see that this is a flag if this is a real business, because they're not making the actual business moves. They're doing a lot of things, on their private name. I mean, their public name, not like a private name or the LLC.
And even if you started on the public name or your own personal private name, going public and changing those things and moving into the business realm is pivotal and key. You need to at least have a 5-year, 10-year plan. Okay, once we hit this mark, how are we going to grow to do this? Even if we're not producing profit, do you have the income on your regular job to hold it up? Right? There are people that you can save for years, but I've seen people, they've saved $100,000, started a business and went flat broke. because they didn't forecast for those expenses. They had zero buffer. They quit their job and created a whole nother job. And we have to stop doing that as people. We have to be more intentional. Now, you laid out, you got the money from an uncle. That sounds cool until you don't know how to facilitate or get that money, because you didn't chase that bag and get that bag. You using somebody else's money. And majority of businesses fail. So if we're going to go down that route, is it something that you're so passionate about that you can do the beans and rice, that you can, go straight Dave Ramsey on your business, build on your principles, build up your product base? All of those things, they have to be in tow, because you have a lot of people, when it comes to the business, even once they start making a little profit, they get the BMW that they didn't have on their regular job. Right. So they created a job and now they got the BMW, creating more work for themselves, even though the market is telling them that they have never been in position to demand that type of salary, because they don't bring those tangibles to the table. Right. And so that really does, kind of throw a wrench in things. Did you have anything else on the Mr. LLC?
No, that's it for me. Okay,
so we're going to move on to the crypto man, and when we talk about the crypto piece, I'm not anti-crypto, but I'm not pro-crypto either. I really don't own any crypto besides the old 𝗕𝗍 that I had a long time ago. And sometimes I'll just be watching it to just play with it. But I probably put like $100 into 𝗕𝗍 a long time ago when we was talking about it, just because I wanted the experience of doing. And so what you'll find is you have a lot of people, when I was digging into 𝗕𝗍, there was a lot of risk. And every day, my brain was tied to looking on YouTube to see what they were saying, what the new crypto was or what it was going to do tomorrow. Right. So a lot of people had a lot of fanfare during the pandemic because they were like, oh, well, I can get these people in because they want to make money because they hurt. So they taking a STEMI, right? And then they throwing it into crypto, hoping that it grows, when, crypto, a lot of crypto and Bitcoin is not secure. Right. The crypto man finance bro is obsessed with cryptocurrency. That's a red flag too. They don't have anything else in their portfolio. They just do crypto. Right. Because anybody that's smart financially understands that they need to have different ways to make income. So if you just relying on crypto because you're trying to hit it big, that's one of those things that day may never come, and you could lose all of your assets. And so one of these things is, they're heavy on investments, but they have no understanding of your personal finance goals. They don't ask you, hey, what's your goal? Okay, how you getting there? They're not breaking down the steps like you talked about earlier, right? Just like you would want a business plan with an LLC, you would want a business plan for your crypto money, right? If you're going to do that, if you're going to go into a different form of currency. I see people talking about gold and silver. I'm like, dog, if you live a paycheck to paycheck, you really can't afford to buy gold and silver. We need to fix the first problem, that you have an income problem. You're not making any money. So how are you going to buy this thing? And then what are you going to do with that thing? Who is actually taking silver and gold for payment? Crypto was real big. People was taking it for payment, but a lot of those things have slowed down quite exponentially because it's like, it's not sustainable, because it's also unregulated. So some things that you run into with the crypto man is you risk security breaches. A lot of people lose their private keys to their wallet and they never have access to their wallet, right? A lot of people have crypto wallets that are tied to certain organizations, but they didn't vet the organization. We talked about this just like when you picking a stock. Wherever you put your crypto, whatever wallet you use, whatever app you use, you need to understand if it's vetted, and you need to be able to accept that risk if you lose it all. That's just a little bit too much risk for me to go into, to put a large sum of money into, right? So that makes things complicated. Volatility. Crypto is up one day, then it's down the next, and it may be down for a whole 6 months, right? There are still people that are not recouping that. I may never recoup 𝗕𝗍, but I thought it was a great thing since we always talking about money, right? And so it's important to, really address those different things. And I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying understand the risk. Lack of regulations. Crypto is not regulated. It's not regulated. Across the board, it's not regulated. And once they start to regulate, you might have to start paying taxes on it, right? So you've got to be able to, when you're making these financial decisions, you got to be able to think backwards and forward. Okay, boom. What happened to this crypto coin before? And what might happen in the future that the government starts to tax this? Now I owe money on these taxes. And now I'm behind on taxes because I made so much money and I'm losing part of my money. A big thing when people win the lotto, a lot of people don't realize that, okay, you went and bought a big house. Guess what? You got to pay property taxes on that big house. right? And we'll get to this when we get to the flip this house dude. But lack of regulations, man, it's one of those things. Crypto becomes dangerous. I've known a lot of people who made a lot of money, and I know a lot of people who lost a lot of money. So, what you say on crypto, man?
Man, I could probably be on this conversation for a long time because this is actually how I got started in investing.
Okay.
So like I had bought some crypto back, 5-7 years ago, and that was Bitcoin, and then I switched it over to BitConnect because I found out about BitConnect, which was a whole pyramid scheme, and that's when I had.
Oh, that was the one we did an episode on, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it was a whole bunch of dudes like, yo, you should get in BitConnect and keep your money locked up for 30 days. It'll come back out times 20, right? And like they showing us, they websites online and stuff, and how like one dude took out the money and paid off a house and everything. And I'm like, man, that seemed dope. Like that's how I got started on all of this. But now, bro, a lot of them in jail right now. Like, bro, they scam so many people when everything, went in the poo-poo, and a lot of them are serving jail time. So if you get into this whole crypto mess, trying to sell some, dreams and fallacies, you might end up in jail. And then a lot of them are getting sued while they in jail too. Like they putting a hold on all their crypto and trying to give it back to everybody who had lost money, like myself, because it was a whole lawsuit. Remember, I told you I was supposed to go to Washington, D.C. and testify and all this other stuff. I said, nah, I'm good. I ain't about to do all that. It ain't that serious, bro. It's like $400. I'm good. I ain't about to. Nah, I'm good. I ain't about to do all that. But you got to be aware of the pump and dumps too. Like some coins, is just like created to just go up, and then whoever created the coins, whoever got in early, when it gets to a certain point, and they all sell, bro. They all sell to make some money. And at the end of the day, if you really want to get into crypto, though, the first thing you should ask yourself is, what is this coin? What is Bitcoin? What is Ethereum? What is Shiba Inu? What is Dogecoin? You should ask yourself, what exactly are these coins, so you can make sure that you're not putting your money in something super risky that is actually a pump and dump. Like, ask yourself, what is the job of this coin? Did you know that every crypto isn't just, you buy and make a lot of money? Like, yeah, that can happen, but a lot of cryptos have jobs. Like XRP or Ripple, better known as Ripple. I actually like that one. I don't have any right now because they in trouble a little bit. But the job of that coin was to be able to help banks transfer money from overseas, opposed to like taking all the money and flying it over. Instead, send the money through the crypto, right? And they were trying to partner with all the banks. Ethereum, I know Ethereum is like really big in technology. I don't really know everything about Ethereum, but Ethereum seems really nice. Like you said earlier, it's not regulated. A lot of the crypto isn't regulated, so there's really no rules. And you also hit on the point of like taxes. You do supposed to pay the gains on the taxes. I think it started like a year or two ago when they started asking you when you was doing your taxes, hey, by any chance, did you buy and sell any crypto? And if you click yes, you might end up having to pay more money. So everybody's clicking no.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, you got to watch out for that tax fraud, man.
Yeah, but that's what I got for the crypto, man.
So now, we moving on to flip this house, dude. The flip the house, dude, I feel like this is one of the most common. Everybody wants to be in real estate, but they've never actually had a taste of real estate. And I am very, very critical of real estate in the fact that not a lot of people actually make a lot of money. A lot of people, because they don't have other sources of income, they rely on the income that they're getting from like rental properties and real estate and things like that to live off of, instead of improving the property and realizing that property values go up and down. And so with the flip this house, dude, they'll try to convince you to buy properties with little money down and flip them for a profit, right? But that's not an easy game to get into. You might say, hey, I got this property, it's in the ghetto, it's in the hood, it's worth, $10,000. I got $10,000. Why is that the wrong answer? The reason why this is the wrong answer is because you have to be able to put maintenance into it. Because if it's that run down to where it was a $10,000 property, right, you're going to have to put a lot of work, probably 10 times as much work into that property than you actually budgeted out for. and you're liable for that property. People don't think about, and this is one of the things that I'm blessed to have a father who, he was in the rental property business, right? So we flipped a lot of different properties from trailers to multi-family units, duplexes, to a family to family homes and things like that, to working on stuff at a Boys and Girls Club, what I'm saying, helping them out as well. So I got a taste of all of it, and it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, because at the end of the day, most people don't plan 5 to 10 years later. So a lot of those properties he's still trying to manage from a distance, right? That makes things very, very complicated. And you think people are going to treat your things right, but maintenance and repair costs are out the wazoo. I remember I budgeted, because I was moving into the spot. I probably budgeted like three grand to just remove the floors, put some appliances in there. We found out that certain things was rotted out. They like busted some windows, the last tenants that lived in there, right? So that made it really, really complicated, because now we got to replace the windows. Then the furnace was having issues, so we had to replace that. There are a lot of things that you can finance, but you can easily over leverage your personal finances by trying to flip these homes, because it just becomes more and more and more and more and more. And it's like, once I fix this, we'll be good. Okay, once I fix this, it'll be good. I work at a chemical plant, and we like to say a piece of the plant goes out with the plant every time that we push a load of chemicals out. Because of the maintenance, is just, you have to always continue working on it, because there's always something. When your tenant moves out, a piece of value of that property leaves, whether you up the rent or not. Even when you up the rent, now you still got to look at paying taxes on the property and all those things, right? You got to pay taxes on that money. That's all tax. So property taxes and insurance, it's not cheap. Home value fluctuations. When a lot of people get into these neighborhoods where they're trying to flip a property, they don't think about the neighbors. They don't think about the area, right? A lot of times there's a reason why that house sold for that low, and why they're trying to get rid of it. And you will have some of the worst neighbors. You'll have some of the worst foundations in these homes, because a lot of these homes were built, in a time where people were just throwing homes up, and they didn't necessarily have the research or even the materials to build the home in the right way, right? So you got leaky foundations, you'll have everything up to termites, right? But when you're renting, you don't have those issues. So people don't typically think about that when they go into flipping properties. And then you got to think about also natural disasters, right? When there's a natural disaster, how are you going to cover down on the tenants that actually live in that property that you were going to flip, or that property that you potentially own, right? We have to look at those things, but a lot of people, they don't think about it because they're trying to think about the profit. They're projecting off of something they don't have yet. And then my final piece on that is, people don't think about the time that it takes to put into that, because you're not going to make money right away. And so when you look at the time that it takes to put into flipping a house, you might have lost time on your job. Now you look and you're like, okay, now I got to make flipping houses full time because I can't find a job. And then the contractors want a lot of money too, because the price of goods, wood, lumber, and all of those things, the cost of materials was sky high during the pandemic, and they still really haven't came down like that. So that's a tough one. What do you have for the flip this house, dude?
Yeah, so I'm gonna just list out all the strategies that I pretty much know of, just so that you can be familiar with it. This is to the audience, just be familiar with what you could do in real estate. And if anybody just saying, yo, give me some money and we can get property together, and then that just be the end of it, I think you should be more educated on some strategies. So the first strategy that I'm familiar with is wholesaling. So wholesaling is when you get a property under contract for a low amount of money, and then you find somebody who can sell that property to. It's still at a lower value, but then you increase the price of the house so you can make some money on that spread. So I'm just gonna make up a number. Let's say you find a property for $200,000, right? And then you find a guy who would buy the same property for $250,000. You'll get the contract. You would basically get the property under contract and then sell it for $250,000, and you basically make $50,000. Right? You never actually own the property or anything like that. You're just making money on the spread. And then you got the burst strategy. So that's when you buy, you rehab, you rent, and refinance, and you just keep doing that over and over and over. And at the end, you can do this for however long you want to do. right, and just get a bunch of properties. But at the end of the day, you're gonna be in a lot of debt. Like that's not my favorite strategy per se. You know, that's the type of people that be like, I just, when I die, that's when the debt will go away. It's not my favorite strategy, but it is a very popular strategy. Or you could just, do a conventional loan and hold for the long term, right? That's what we decided to do with this place. You just buy a property and you just hold on to it. And then if you move out, you just rent it. And then sooner or later, the mortgage will be paid off, right? Because all the monthly payments is coming from the renters. And then after 30 years or 15 years, however many years your mortgage is, then everything after that goes in your pocket. Okay. Or maybe maybe you don't feel comfortable with these strategies, so maybe you want to be a realtor. So you get your real estate license and you just help people find property and help them sell it, help them buy it, and you can make money that way, right? And you can earn a commission on that. I heard a lot of people do make money that way. And let's say all the things that I said is a little too much for you. Maybe you can get into some REITs, real estate investment trust. And that's basically the stock market. So you can just buy REITs on the stock market and just get paid dividends. And you can just chill. You don't got to do anything. Just keep buying those stocks, which are REITs.
Okay. Real estate investment trust. Look into that. That's pretty dope. I'm glad that you offered up the solutions to, some of those issues. And I think a lot of times, and what people don't realize is you've got your financial house in order. And so it puts you in a position. We're not saying these things are bad. We're not saying getting an LLC is the end of the world. We're not saying, investing in crypto is the end of the world. But what we're saying is flipping and crypto and those things, LLCs, they come with risk. And we want you to manage that risk without taking on too much. Because, there's a certain level of risk that makes you extremely volatile to the market. It makes you extremely volatile, to actually making and increasing your income because you're so busy putting out fires that you never get to focus on the way forward. And so, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you had to say about the finance guru situation and scams?
All I gotta say is don't fall for the fast money stuff. Just, take it slow, do what you know, stocks, or if you don't know it, look into it. Read a few books, watch a few videos. Anything that's promising you a 1,000% return in a week, you should probably stay away from it. But if you're looking into like bonds for 4% right now, or stocks, it's low right now, but it's gonna rebound later. Or maybe you do want to get into some real estate, you can do some of the things that we talked about earlier. Or if you want to get into cryptocurrency, you do your research on the top cryptos and be wary of the smaller cryptos. And that's what I got.
Yeah, hey, balance, asking the right questions, and continuing to probe, right? If somebody gets upset with, a lot of, your questions and things like that, find that balance and say, what, hey, I don't feel comfortable making this decision right now. No is always an okay answer, right? So find that balance. And yes is an okay answer if you're in a position to, make those types of decisions. Hey, shout out to 𝗕𝗓𝗄𝗎. While we succeed, go subscribe and like and check out his channel. He said, "What up? Glad to tune in. We appreciate you, family. Keep doing great things over there." But without further ado, this has been another episode of Bag Talk 101. We appreciate y'all. I'm Tommy.
I'm Shawn.
And this is Bag Talk 101. Appreciate y'all.